Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music blessing and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. What a blessing to be with you. To say good morning, Sandy. Nice to see you, my friend. Michelle and Cynthia, Boker Tov. Scott, nice to see you too. Tara and Jonathan, Adrian and Arlene, good morning, friends. Nice to see all of you. We're nearing the 6-year anniversary of the launch of our community, March 18th. Hope that you'll join us then. Nicole, nice to see you too. Linda, good morning, kind soul. Nice to see you. Safta Stieber, welcome, welcome. All right, let's see who else is here on Facebook. We'll give some hellos. Jacqueline and Jerry, Cecile and Julianne, Boker Tov, good to see all of you. John, it is your father's birthday, so to Noah Horowitz, wherever he is, happy birthday, my friend. Thanks, John, for making sure we knew. Today's Torah is in his honor. Arlene and Adrian, Jack and Barry, Rosa and Debbie, Arlene, Lydia, good to see you. Valerie and Joyce, Boker Tov, my friends. Nice to see all of you. Let's take a breath. We're going to sing a bracha, learn some Torah. My guitar needs some fixing. When we began this broadcast, I was using Neshama's father's guitar, which was quite an honor. I'm using it again today. So bringing a new breath into broadcast 1501. Valerie, may your mother's memory be for blessing. Today's her English Yortzeit. Thank you for letting us know. Today's Torah is in her honor too. George and Judy, good to see you. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Ema. Nice to see you. Guys, my mom's on Instagram. If you're on Facebook, you can send her love. I'll tell her all about it. Okay. Friends, it's good to see all of you. Thanks, Penny, for making sure we remember. It is broadcast 1501. Okay, I could dwell on how surreal that number feels, but it has been a true privilege, a blessing to share Torah in community all of these mornings and days with you. Refuah Shleima Tziona to you. I hope you feel better soon. It's good to see everyone. Thank you for bringing the wholeness of who you are and your loved ones and their memories and their birthdays. This is part of what we do as community. It makes the number 1501 much more human, because just showing up over and over is what that number represents. May we be blessed to share many joyful things together in community, and may we remember that when we have harder things to share, we also do that in community. We're here for each other. Thank you, friends. Let's look at this parsha, Ki Tissa. Monday and Tuesday of this week were Erev Purim and then Purim, and so that was the focus. Now we'll look at the Torah portion because we get to resume our cycle. That'll be interrupted in a few weeks with Pesach, We'll make our way, we'll figure it out. For me, Parshat Ki Tisa has a personal ring to it because my daughter's bat mitzvah was was Parshat Ki Tisa, and I remember learning with her as she was beginning to write her drash. What was she going to talk about? And she was very curious, as we should all be, about the character of Aaron. So some of this I dedicate in honor of my daughter Ariel and in wonderful recollection of her bat mitzvah, many years ago now, to see who Aaron is. Because if you look at Parshat Kitisa, which, to remind you, comes after two Torah portions that deal with the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and it precedes the final two Torah portions in the book of Exodus, which also deal with the tabernacle. But here is this island of narrative, and it's the story of the golden calf. It's about more than that. It's about Moses' absence. It's about the Israelites' failures. It's about how scared they must have been and the complicated response that Aaron had. Did he do the right thing? Let's remember the narrative. Moses ascends Mount Sinai and promises to come back. And he's not visible anymore. He's in the clouds atop Mount Sinai. The Israelites lose their confidence and they go to Aaron, this is all the biblical text, and say, make us a god because we don't know what's happened to that man Moshe. And he says, take the gold from your children, your sons and daughters' ears, and your own, and bring them to me tomorrow. And they go and they do it, and they bring it to Aaron, and he fashions for them a golden calf. And it is a very complicated story because, after all, either he was already appointed the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, or he was about to be. But how can we hold in such esteem someone who facilitated, at worst, or enabled, at best, the Israelites to commit the terrible sin of idol worship, and at Mount Sinai, and just weeks after the sea split? It's very, very complicated. How do we see the figure of Aaron? And not only that, even though there are techniques that the commentators use to explain, I would say, to explain away what seems like an obvious sin, either when Aaron said, bring me the gold and tomorrow we'll do it, his use of tomorrow, according to some, suggests, well, let's give Moses one more day. If he comes back, this will not happen. Another suggestion is, when he said, bring me the gold earrings of your sons and daughters and your own, he never anticipated that they would do it. And there are other suggestions. The third is an interesting one. Remember, they say, make us a god, we don't know where Moses went. They actually didn't believe that Moses was a god, and so there is a suggestion that Moses served as an interlocutor, as someone who represented God and gave them a concrete sense, of what they needed. Perhaps what they were looking for was a representative of God on earth. And it is complicated because that's an idol, but you might say that as opposed to an idol which you believe is a god, this would have been kind of like a Torah in an Aron HaKodesh, in the Holy Ark, where you don't pray to the Ark, you pray through the Ark. It's a locus point for the divine. All of these are very interesting theories. And as Arlene just said, what compounds the complication here is that Aaron is not punished for the sin. There is a suggestion, by the way, a very strange midrash, that Aaron witnessed what happened to another Jewish leader, a prophet named Hur, who does not appear in the biblical text. This is only in the midrash. Hur said no to the people when they went to Hur first, and they tore him apart. And Aaron saw that happen and said, better I should delay, better I should say yes instead of dying. All of these are fascinating ways that tradition grapples with the question of, did Aaron do the right thing? What was the right thing? What did he do? After all, when Moses comes down, Aaron says, it wasn't me. I told them to give me the gold and I threw it into the fire and out popped this thing, which is a very strange claim given that we have a biblical text that tells us what actually happened. So again, the narrative is tangled. The story has so many strands. Aaron's character is indecipherable. And what makes it even more of a mystery is where the rabbis eventually go to understand Aaron. And when I say understand, the right word might be redefine, transmogrify, to borrow a word from the Harry Potter series. Because Aaron suddenly becomes a Rodef Shalom, an Ohev Shalom v'Rodef Shalom, after someone who, it seems, led the people astray. The rabbis exalt him as someone who pursues peace, loves peace, and pursues peace. We say as part of our prayers, Yiratzon, may it be your will, God, that we should be disciples of Aaron, loving peace and pursuing peace. And what a complicated way of ignoring Aaron's actual history. So much so that in the Talmud, it's Masechet Sanhedrin, if you'd like to look it up, I think it's on page 6, they wonder, the rabbis debate, is adversarial litigation better than arbitration? And they use this very interesting paradigm. I owe this observation to Rabbi Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory. The arbitration model is Aaron, and the litigation model is Moshe. And the rabbis say that Moshe preferred law, that law should pierce the mountain. But Aaron's model was to bring people together and to engage them until a result was found. Again, I don't know that this is found in the biblical text, but as Susie is asking, is there a lesson for us in this? Yes, yes, there are multiple lessons in this for us. Perhaps one of them is that history is complicated. And if we try to flatten history into a simple narrative, we are ignoring many layers of text. If all you have is the now traditional prayer that we should be like students of Aaron, loving peace, you don't understand how complicated his character was. If all you have is one facet of the story, you cannot claim authority to adjudicate both what happened and the lessons that need to be learned. So the first lesson for us in this is that things are complicated sometimes, and we don't quite know. Another potential way of seeing this is to quote the great Brian Stevenson, a major civil rights leader of our time who founded the Equal Justice Initiative. He says very eloquently, first of all, many things, including none of us is entirely defined by the worst thing we have done. We are more than the worst thing we have done. Aaron is more than whatever version of the story turns out to be true. It doesn't mean that he's off the hook for things he may have done, but it means the rabbis wondered about him. Perhaps there is space, in most cases, for us to wonder, for us to be less certain. I actually wonder if that would be an answer to so much that ails us. Think about the interactions on social media that so often we have when someone takes a position or says they believe something. And the responses are not, how thoughtful, I wonder about that, I'm so curious. The responses are often tinged by what some call the law of immunity. You don't see the person, so you say things you would never say in person, which is how could you react with adversarial rejection. That's not a Moses or Aaron question, but it is an oversimplification and objectification of the other. Perhaps the thing we might learn from the Aaron story, even in the biblical text itself, is that Aaron looked at the people who were in a mob frenzy, scared because the only reassuring presence they had known since liberation was now hiding in a cloud. And of course, I don't mean hiding like Moses was intentionally hiding. He was hidden. They couldn't see him. And think about what a child feels, because after all, we were just in the early childhood of our freedom. We had barely begun to think for ourselves. And when the one who took care of us goes away, we panicked. Perhaps we might understand from this that Aaron saw their panic and did his best or made a decision in the moment. Do we accept his decision? Of course not. Do we understand him? Probably not. And so, with that kind of a nuanced appreciation of the complexity of a character, we model what it is, or we might learn to model what it is, to be in a relationship, to not judge someone for the partial knowledge we have of them and what's going on for them. Our context is sometimes invisible to the outside, but it is deeply felt on the inside. And how we handle ourselves and how we support others who are always carrying invisible contexts. That is a lesson we might learn. And if we learn it well, perhaps we might get to the point that the rabbis get to when they see in Aaron a model for arbitration as opposed to litigation. Arbitration, the possibility that people need help working things out. May we, as our modern tefillot, as our modern prayers have it, may we see that part of Aaron's character and exemplify it, and embody it, and aspire to it, to bring peace between people. It requires a kind of curiosity and endurance, a decision in advance, not to presume upon ourselves that we know exactly what's going on for someone else. Let's think hard about this. Let's work hard on this. Our world needs peace. It's hard to know what that looks like sometimes, but we know we need it. May we be blessed to do our part to help it become a little bit more like that. Let's send our hearts to the east, friends. Let's sing. Kol hod balevav pnima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefate mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia od lo avda tikvatenu התקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.